story comes from Maharashtra. BJP leader Nilesh Rane has sparked a row after he tweeted, calling NCP Supremo Sharad Pawar a reincarnation of Aurangzeb. And no points for guessing, the NCP is fuming. The NCP has said it would hold a protest. The controversy comes after the Kolhapur violence that occurred a couple of days ago after protests erupted over some social media posts on Aurangzeb and Tipu Sultan. Meanwhile, Supriya Sule, the NCP Member of Parliament and daughter of Sharad Pawar, has actually said that her father is facing threats. Let's listen in to Supriya Sule.
मेरे व्हाट्सएप पे ये मैसेज आया है, उनको एक धमकी दी गई है, एक वेबसाइट से दी गई है और वैसी ही धमकी और भी इस रिलेटेड जो अकाउंट्स है इस पे आई है। तो मैं सिर्फ न्याय मांगने के लिए पुलिस के यहाँ आई हूँ और मेरी विनती रहेगी होम मिनिस्टर से, महाराष्ट्र के भी और देश के भी होम मिनिस्टर से कि ऐसी जो हरकतें हो रही है ये गंदी घटिया राजनीति है और ये कहाँ भी रुकना चाहिए।
Okay, Brijesh, I mean, this is obviously sad and serious and needs to be looked into if Mr. Pawar is indeed receiving threats. But, you know, this entire controversy over Aurangzeb, you know, even though elections in Maharashtra are still a year away and we know that all of this is usually politically motivated, but, you know, I can't help but wonder, Brijesh, that why does India of 2023 have to concern itself so much with the ghost of Aurangzeb? Why?
It's like, you know, because you're never comfortable with the history. And when you're never comfortable with the history, what you do is that you try to create a new history. This is just an attempt to create a new history. And how do you create a new history which is palatable to your clientele? Is by demonizing the earlier history. This is exactly what is at play. And the fact is that, you know, what he said, that, you know, Pawar Sahib gets worried for Muslim community as the election approaches, I think it stands true for almost all the political parties. People start hitting out at, you know, the community because, you know, the election approaches. And I think, you know, they really want to make this an issue and drag the NCP as far as this, you know, the violence which was there in the Kolhapur. And they feel that, you know, with these kind of taunting tweets, they will be in a position to drag Sharad Pawar by calling him the reincarnation of Aurangzeb. And it's a very interesting ploy by the BJP, but I refuse to believe that, you know, that the Sharad Pawar would get involved. But, you know, the NCP has also already threatened that, you know, if the tweet doesn't get deleted in 24 hours, then they will start holding massive protests and all. So it's just like, Jail Bharo Andolan. So it's like, just like, I mean, you know, personally, after covering politics for such a long time, you know, it's just a political ploy from every side, you know, because every side stands to gain from it. You know, you get to polarize your own set of voters. The other side gets to polarize the other side of voters. You know, so the other side says, listen, we are all, you know, going to jail for who? For you. So, you know, basically it ends up turning into this a vicious circle of, you know, every side appeasing their own set of voters and making sure that, you know, they remain polarized enough to vote for them when the next election comes.
You're right, Brijesh. This is a game that almost all political parties seem to play. And, you know, it would probably be all right as long as it was confined to just a war of words between political parties. However, the situation becomes dangerous, it becomes slippery and it becomes serious when you witness the kind of violence that erupted in Sholapur a few days ago. What happened? Let's just give our viewers a little bit of background information. What are we playing out on our screens? These are visuals of the violence that erupted after some social media posts allegedly glorified Aurangzeb and Tipu Sultan. Tension erupted over that. And at the end of a rally, some people started pelting stones at the homes and business establishments owned by the minority community. That is when these protests turned violent. Now, that is where problem arises, Brijesh. You know, I mean, of course, dozens of people were arrested. The situation continues to remain tense. It has been making headlines. It's been discussed ad nauseum and debated on the mainstream media, on the 9 o'clock debates, and on social media. But, you know, this is what I think is absolutely dangerous when the polarizing narratives of political parties result in scenes such as this on the streets? Because at the end of the day, it's the common citizens who bear the brunt of this kind of violence.
I mean, look at the visuals which is being played out. You know, all these who are being chased away by the policemen, or you know, they're being lathi charged and all, and the kind of destruction of property and all. You seriously think that Aurangzeb or Tipu Sultan would have cared two hoots about, you know, what is happening right now? It is basically, you know,
and let's face it, Rajesh, the politicians never pay the price. It's the ordinary citizen who does, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Is there, or these citizens as well as the innocent bystander, or like, you know, someone who would be having shop in this area because due to tension, you know, these shops won't open for some time, or like some violent activities taking place and on vandalism and all. So it's always the local people, the innocent bystanders who suffer the most. But the point is that, like, you know, in the name of Aurangzeb or Tipu Sultan, you know, people have been dead long back and, like, you know, dead, buried and forgotten. So, I mean, these kind of restructuring only happens because, you know, you want to make sure that, you know, that the furnace keeps on simmering so as to, you know, help you reap electoral benefits. Nothing more than that.
You know, you're a political editor. You've followed politics for a long time in this country, Brijesh. We are in an election year. We've just had an election in Karnataka where Bajrang Bali, of all things, became an electoral issue. You know, now you have elections coming up in other states like Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, and there is no doubt that politicians will start their temple hopping very soon. From BJP leaders to Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi, they're all going to do that. But when you have the ghost of Aurangzeb and Tipu Sultan being exercised, then does that tell you that this is a sign of things to come? This is how things are going to be now over the next 1 year?
Well, I think this is not the sign of things to come. I think this is a sign of bankruptcy. You know, when you don't have, when, you know, you have to dig out Aurangzeb and, you know, you have to fight or you have to demonize Aurangzeb all over again just to make sure that you get your share of vote, or somebody, you know, who is supporting Tipu Sultan or being anti-Tipu Sultan. You know, Tipu Sultan, whosoever he was, you know, whether hero or a villain and all, is all gone. But the fact that, you know, that you have reached a bankruptcy of idea where, you know, the likes of Aurangzeb and Tipu Sultan is what is triggering this kind of emotion in the 21st century is something which, honestly speaking, baffles me beyond imagination. If this gets you vote, or if this actually triggers you to vote for any political party, then it's, you know, it's a bankruptcy was matching another level of political bankruptcy which we are witnessing. You know, if this fight was for better infrastructure, if this fight was for, like, you know, better school and colleges and things like that. I mean, every political party does that. That, you know, that they keep on stoking this either minority appeasement or minority, you know, othering of the minority community, just to make sure that their side remains very committed behind them. But the fact of the matter is, doesn't augur well for the society. Not only because, you know, this picture is nothing but a big symbol of bankruptcy, you know, of ideas from either side of the spectrum, from the people also. I will not only blame the political parties because, you know, it's easy to blame the political party. But for all these people who are getting this agitated to assemble on the road and, like, you know, start target some community and all because, you know, there was Aurangzeb was villainous, or Aurangzeb was pious, or Tipu Sultan was a hero or a villain, is, I mean, it beats me, but then this is the nature of the beast.
It beats me too, and I couldn't agree more with you, Brijesh. It does reflect a complete bankruptcy of ideas in this country because, you know, we see ourselves as a rising global power of the 21st century. You know, we're hosting the G20 summit this year. There is so much talk about how India needs to overtake China in the years ahead, and yet we, you know, just can't seem to exercise the ghosts of the past. These demons keep coming back to haunt us, and these scenes are very, very worrying. It's a slippery slope because once situations such as this one get out of hand, the politicians usually sit at home and, you know,
it's like,
no
it's very interesting. It's like, you know, it's like when there were elections in Karnataka. What is very interesting is, like, you know, you're talking about Bajrang Bali, then everybody said, like, no, I love Bajrang Bali. I respect him more than you do. Then the third person stands like, I go to Bajrang Bali temple every morning, evening and all.
Correct.
Yet, Bangalore, you know, which was symbol of India's IT might and all, it's in deep shambles.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that,
India's,
you know,
so-called Silicon Valley gets flooded every year during the monsoon.
And then, you know, when it comes flooding, then people say, oh my God, you know, it is getting flooded. shame on our politicians, shame on this thing. I think it's the blame has to be 50 or more than that percent with the voters also. You know,
why are they falling for these issues?
Absolutely.
And when
And
will
you're
they start
falling for
holding
these
their
issues,
politicians accountable?
You get what you deserve. It's as simple as it.
We get the politicians we deserve, right?
Absolutely.
But then, since you've talked about Karnataka, I want to talk to you a little bit more about Karnataka, because 1 year ahead of the Karnataka Assembly election, there were huge controversies over very polarizing issues such as hijab and halal, and there were calls by some Hindu right-wing groups for even an economic boycott of the Muslim community. Closer to the election, yes, BJP leaders, who at that time were very vocal, tried to distance themselves from this issue, especially leaders like B.S. Yediyurappa. But, in the dying overs of the match, if I may put it that way, the issue of Bajrangbali came up suddenly. And everybody thought, okay, now once again we're going to see major polarization of votes happening, and is the BJP going to be able to turn the game around? Actually, it failed to do that, Brijesh. Well, do you think that is an instructive case for us?
No. That's definitely not an instructive case. We are just reading too much into it. I think the interesting part was before that. When B.S. Yediyurappa and Basavaraj Bommai, he was asked in a private TV channel's program. He said, no, BJP doesn't believe in hijab and halal. Basically, the reason why they were distancing themselves was not because there was a sudden change of heart. The reason they were distancing themselves was because those issues was not finding the kind of currency it found at that point of time.
Yes.
If the issue was finding currency, trust me, there would have been the biggest issue as far as fighting election is concerned. The Bajrang Dal controversy was was a last ditch attempt, and that is the reason it failed to manifest itself in an electoral change of fortune as far as the BJP is concerned. But if this would have happened, say, a couple of months before, you cannot be so sure about that it wouldn't have worked at all. Because, people say that it doesn't work in their state. And, I've seen people from Karnataka being very, very happy about the fact that, we are not like north of India's and all. But unfortunately,
but this is the same state which fights every year over Tipu Sultan's birth anniversary and whether it should be celebrated or not.
That is what I'm saying, that the reason was it was too close for comfort. Otherwise, if the time was of 1.5 months or something like that, you would never be sure whether BJP would have taken a good advantage as far as this Bajrang Dal controversy.
Okay, and also coming back to what's happening in Maharashtra with NCP Supremo Sharad Pawar, in a sense, wading into this raging controversy and debate, and Supriya Sule saying he's getting threats, this, that and the other. As usual, there are two sides to it. There is the Sangh Parivar, which seems to be sort of batting for those who've, sort of criticized this glorification of Aurangzeb. On the other hand, people like Sharad Pawar are being accused once again of minority appeasement. How do you really see this playing out in Maharashtra politics? And, we're talking about a politician, Brijesh, who clearly is, I think it'll be safe to say, one of the most, if not the most astute politician in this country.
Oh, by a mile. And I think, basically, see, these all what these leaders do is that they try to box somebody in a very uncomfortable position.
Yeah.
By accusing you of minority appeasement, basically I'm sending a signal to my co-voters that, that this guy is indulging appeasement. I'm the one, who's going to be your original, being the hardcore Hindutva symbol and all. And I don't think that that this is something which is Rane would be able to take on Sharad Pawar. Sharad Pawar is too old in hand and too bright a mind, I think, to fall for this. And the NCP also knows, with Shiv Sena and the Mahavikas Aghadi and the kind of positive feedback which they're getting on the ground, because it's been aired by several television channels.
So does this then work to their advantage as well, Brijesh?
It could. Why not? It could, because, the othering also helps, there were many people, there was also very interesting since you discussed Karnataka, there were also some, many people felt angry at Congress that, why did your, the Ghoshna Patra had a reference to PFI and Bajrang Dal. But then many people said that, that you could never be sure that, how this ensured that there was a decent enough mobilization of the minority community to go ahead and vote for the Congress party. Because, they were talking of banning Bajrang Dal and all. So, you never know how these things work and all. And so how one person can be boxed into a corner by using these kind of, strong messaging, and how if you are smart enough to turn it on its head, is something which Sharad Pawar has done it several times. And going by the kind of the reports which they are receiving, I think the MVA, if they don't disintegrate, which usually the Congress or the others have this habit of, I think they are going to give a very, very good fight to the BJP in the state of Maharashtra.
Okay, that is very interesting because Maharashtra elections are due next year.
Absolutely.
As is the general election. But look into the crystal ball for us, Brijesh. There are many who've said that despite its resounding defeat in Karnataka, the BJP can only be expected to double down on its Hindutva agenda, whether it is ahead of the other state assembly elections or the general election in 2024. Do you believe that after 2 consecutive terms in power, the BJP government at the centre is likely to go back to the voters more with its report card, talking about its performance, its track record, what it has done for the people in the country? Or are we going to see these kind of emotive issues and communally sensitive and polarizing issues being whipped up time and again in the run-up to the 2024 election?
It's going to be a mixed bag of all. And then there are times, you have to understand that politicians are very, very smart. It all depends on how politically astute you are. I'll give you an example. In the Uttar Pradesh election, it was Akhilesh Yadav who first gave the moniker Bulldozer Baba.
Yes.
And how the BJP turned it around so brilliantly for their cadre, for their messaging.
Wasn't it a runaway hit for the BJP?
That now the bulldozer is synonymous with the tough law and order stand, or the tough stand which the Yogi government takes on law and order situation in the state of Uttar Pradesh. It has basically become their real symbol as far as their fight against this law or their tough stand on law and order is concerned. See, the point is that the
critics would say it's been targeted at one community, correct?
Well, the critics may say whatever they want to, they're not entirely wrong. But the fact of the matter is that, when you're playing cricket, you have to play by the rules of cricket. The thing with democracy is that you have to win X number of votes to get into power. That symbol is giving them this much of votes. So either you change democracy, or how you vote, or how you elect a government, that is the way it is going to be done. And they are reaping maximum benefit. The problem with opposition is that that they are not able to be as nimble-footed as the BJP is being. They lost Karnataka. What happened immediately after that? Yesterday we discussed about this organizers' article on how Modi plus hardcore Hindutva is not going to win you. It's not going to be ideological glue strong enough for you to win. So what did they do? Find that regional strong leader. All of a sudden you saw this meeting of Vasundhara Raje with BL Santosh signaling that that BJP is more than willing to accommodate Vasundhara Raje as they face as far as Rajasthan election is concerned. Right. So the tragedy is not in losing. The tragedy is that not learning from their losses. BJP learns from its losses, and that's why they have been a formidable political opponents as far as since 2014 is concerned. They have lost elections, but trust me, they'll learn more than their losses than many other political parties have done.
So, Bulldozer Baba continues to be a runaway hit for the BJP in the most important political state in this country, Uttar Pradesh, which the party has won decisively in the last 2 consecutive elections, and this is the state that sends the most MPs to parliament.
Absolutely. From 2000, see, the point is that you have to also understand, how
it's a winning formula.
How important a symbol becomes. When we were covering this UP election, after the victory, post outside Vidhan Sabha, the maximum number of supporters came in a bulldozer. And they were there singing, dancing, chanting slogans and all, standing at top of the bulldozer.
Yeah.
And after that, bulldozer became such a big symbol for the BJP that the lotus, which is their party symbol, now dwarfs in comparison to bulldozer.
To the bulldozer. And they might as well change their party symbol.
Such a runaway hit, as these movies become. That you have to come up with sequel. So you have a Shivraj Singh Chauhan saying that, oh, I will demolish all the houses in bulldozer.
So from bulldozer Baba, there was talk of bulldozer Mama.
So that's what I'm saying. That they're smart to turn these narratives in their favor.
And what is not so smart, Brijesh, you might agree, is for other political parties to try and play catch up with the BJP, and then they get accused of playing the soft Hindutva card.
I agree.
And the critics say, well, if people want to go for Hindutva, they'll go with the original. Why will they go with the copycat?
See, at times it helps that, the most successful attempt at soft Hindutva for the Congress party was in Gujarat election.
Yeah.
The previous one, and where when Rahul Gandhi went there, the Congress didn't made any major faux pas, and then all the visit to the temples, the gurudwaras, the Rudraksh and all, the full soft Hindutva was on display, and the party did performed very well. But the point is that in politics you have to be consistent as well.
Yes.
You cannot be a stopgap arrangement of a soft Hindutva right now.
Or only at the time of elections.
Or only at the time of elections.
Though I think Kejriwal may have played that game better than Rahul Gandhi and the Congress.
There's just no comparison. Being astuteness, I think Kejriwal is second to none.
Right? And he calls himself a Hanuman Bhakt. We've seen him hold some very public prayers, at Hanuman temples here in the national capital. He clearly makes no bones about it.